there are 4 varnas and there are 4 ashramas also. Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasis. First is Abhayam, fearlessness. A sannyasi is meant to be fearless because sannyasi goes to the forest. And when you go to the forest, if you are wondering, whether wild animals are going to eat you or something like that, then you can't really go to the forest. Brahmacharis are students who are engaged in studying in a gurukula. Grahasthas are householders. Vanaprasthas are people who are retired. And sannyasis are sannyasis. So out of 4 ashramas, the only ashram which is actually earning money is the Grahastha ashram. And the other 3 ashrams are dependent upon the Grahasthas. Swadhyaya is study of the scriptures. It's meant for brahmachari. Tapa or austerity is meant for vanaprasthas. Ahimsa, satya, it's all meant for brahmanas. Teja is meant for kshatriyas. Krishna, he says that these divisions of the varnas is based on guna and karma. It's not based on birth. Narkasur, he was a great asura. And Krishna himself killed Narkasur. He was born of Bhumi Devi. So he was a son of Krishna, but nonetheless he was a demon. He was an asura. But then Prahlad,
yeah, same.
He was born an asura, but he had all divine qualities. In this world, there are 2 kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. The belief system of atheism gives rise to these characteristics basically. That's what Krishna is trying to say.
Would Krishna have said Buddha is demonic or divine? Pranam Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So we get on to now 16th chapter. The devil and the divine. So this chapter takes us through explaining what is an asura and what is divine characteristics basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Over to you now.
So, Krishna, he starts the chapter with listing the divine qualities. Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vasthiti dhanam damascha jnascha swadhyayas taparjavam ahimsa satyam akrodhas tyaga shantir apaishvanam daya bhuteshu loluptvam ardhvam veera chapalam teja kshama dhriti shaucham adroho natimanita bhavanti sampadam devim krujal sevaya. So he's speaking about the divine qualities in this particular verse, in this group of verses. Fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas. What needs to be kept in mind while reading these verses is these qualities are according to varna and ashrama. So there is something called the varnashrama system, which is God's design for human society. Society is divided into 4 varnas.
Correct.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. This we are going to go into greater detail in the 18th chapter. Because it's a very controversial.
At least in the modern world. Right?
In the modern world, it's very controversial.
And then some of these characteristics came in a different context earlier. Why are they different from these really? Somewhere in the 13th also he enumerated a lot of these characteristics. Humility, gratitude, non-violence. All of them came earlier also, if you recollect.
Yeah. So those are in connection with the principles of yoga.
Yeah.
As you progress on the path of yoga, what are the characteristics that you are going to develop? So these, the qualities that he is enumerating here is in terms of varna and ashram. Now, how the two are connected we will understand as we progress through this chapter.
Okay.
We are going to understand it in due course of time. But to begin with here, these verses are about, each one of these verses is pertaining to, each one of these characteristics or qualities is pertaining to certain varna or particular ashram. As I said, there are 4 varnas and there are 4 ashramas also. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasis. So the first few verses here are pertaining to a sannyasi. First is abhayam, fearlessness. A sannyasi is meant to be fearless because sannyasi goes to the forest. And when you go to the forest, if you are wondering, whether wild animals are going to eat you or something like that, then you can't really go to the forest. Then. So for sannyasi to be fearless is very important. How is a sannyasi fearless? A sannyasi is fearless because a sannyasi understands that ultimately
God will take care of it.
Yeah, that is there. And also Paramatma is situated within my heart also. The Paramatma is situated within the heart of the wild animal also. And unless the Paramatma in the heart of the wild animal sanctions, the animal can't really attack me. So this in-depth realization of the Paramatma is mandatory for a sannyasi. So Abhayam, so there is a story in this connection, Haridas Thakur was an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He lived around 500 years ago. So it is this place called Fulia in Bengal. So there he was living within a cave. And within the cave was a poisonous serpent. Haridas was absolutely fearless, sharing a room, sharing the cave with a poisonous serpent. And it was so poisonous that there used to be fumes.
I see.
And people who wanted to come to see Haridas to take instructions from him for spiritual advancement, they're finding it very difficult to enter into the cave in that toxic environment. So Haridas became not worried for himself, but for these people. Because one of his primary concerns was to transmit spiritual knowledge to them. And he thought that, because the snake is there, I won't be able to give this knowledge to them. They're scared of coming here to receive this knowledge. So one day he thought that, I'm going to move out of the cage. I'm going to move out of the cave. And he decided, tomorrow I'm going to move out. And the very same night, the serpent moved out. See, ultimately, God is the supreme being. See, the Paramatma within the heart of the serpent inspired him. That, allow this fellow to reside here alone. So you move out. The serpent moved out. And a sannyasi should have this kind of complete faith that God will take care. So, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhir. Purification of existence is also a duty of a sannyasi. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti. To be situated in jnana, knowledge, to advance on the path of knowledge. These are all duties of a sannyasi. Then Dhanam is a duty of a grihastha, giving in charity. Because in the Varnashrama system, there are 4 ashramas, as I said. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. Brahmacharis are students who are engaged in studying in a Gurukul. Grihasthas are householders. Vanaprasthas are people who are retired. And Sannyasis are sannyasis. So out of 4 ashramas, the only ashram which is actually earning money is the Grihastha ashram. And the other 3 ashrams are dependent upon the grahasthas. So that is why dhanam, charity, is an integral part of the grahastha ashram. Dhanam, dhamascha yajnascha. Dhamma is control of the mind. Grahasthas especially have to control their mind. Why especially grahasthas have to control the mind? Now this might look a little intriguing, because normal understanding is sannyasis, vanaprasthas
have their mind controlled in any case.
Yeah, that is there. They are not exposed to sense gratification at all.
I see.
Grahasthas are exposed to to objects of the senses. So they have to forcibly control their mind to refrain themselves, because they have easy access. So dhamascha, control of the mind, is especially meant for a grahastha. Very interesting, isn't it? And yajnas. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is study of the scriptures. It's meant for brahmacharis.
Yeah.
Tapa or austerity is meant for vanaprasthas. See,
that also we touched upon in that previous chapter. You must try and move away from family to some extent. Yes.
See, that tapasya is more acutely felt. Why? Because you have been exposed to sense gratification for so many decades.
Correct.
Suddenly, when you have to refrain from them,
you have to make it a way of your life. Right?
That really builds on you.
Yeah.
It's tapasya. So that is meant for vanaprasthas. And arjam, simplicity, is for vanaprasthas. It's across the board. Everyone should become simple. And then ahimsa, satyam, akrodas, tyaga, shanti, apeshuna. So now he is going to speak about qualities in terms of the different Varanas.
Yeah.
Ahimsa, satya, it's all meant for brahmanas. And then so teja is meant for kshatriyas. Correct? Teja, kshama. Teja is, prowess. Right? How exactly does Prabhupada translate it? Teja, vigor. He translates as vigor. Vigor is especially meant for a kshatriya. A kshatriya is supposed to be having that vigor. So that's the quality of a kshatriya. Correct? A kshama, forgiveness. A kshatriya is actually even meant to practice forgiveness. And then there is teja, kshama, adratim, shaucham, adroho, nati manita. Shaucham, cleanliness. Cleanliness is especially meant for the Vaishyas. Especially for a Vaishya needs to be clean in dealings. So shaucham, not to deal in black market and things like that. So shaucham is meant for Vaishya. And nati manita, not expecting honor for oneself, is especially meant for a Shudra.
I see.
So these qualities are divided according to Varna and Ashram. So if you are sincerely trying to imbibe these qualities as per the Varna and Ashram that we are situated in, Krishna is telling, we are in the path of daivi.
Divine. Right?
Divine. Or son of Bharata, these qualities, they belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. And then he goes further here. Dambho dharpo bhimanascha krodha parushyameva ajnanam chai vijatasya partha sampadam asuri. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demonic nature, a son of Pratha. Right?
So they are more tamoguni types. Yes. Very much like that.
Yeah. So these are tamoguni characteristics. Divine nature is more or less sattvic.
Correct.
Then he says, the transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demonic qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandav, for you are born with the divine qualities. Abhijhatosi Pandava. See, this is very interesting here. Something to be noted. As we'll be discussing in more detail when we speak about the four varnas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, Krishna, he says that these divisions of the varnas is based on guna and karma, based on qualities and activities. It's not based on birth.
I see.
So the four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, according to the Gita, that division is not based on your birth. Birth is a more modern thing. We'll get into that into more details when we cover the 18th chapter. But nonetheless, Krishna is speaking about abhijatos here. Certain people are born. So, we should understand it in perspective. Ultimately, birth is not a criteria. See, if you see even in the Puranas, Narkasur, he was a great asura. And Krishna himself killed Narkasur. But Narkasur was a son of Krishna. He was born of Bhumi Devi. So he was a son of Krishna, but nonetheless he was a demon. He was an asura. But then Prahlad,
yeah, same.
he was born an asura, but he had all divine qualities. See, birth is not of prominence here. Ultimately, how you use your free will to mold your character. But nonetheless, in these verses, Krishna is speaking about abhijatasya, born. Why? Because birth is nothing that it can't be neglected. See, this is a ongoing debate.
The key one really is where Narkasur and Prahlad exceptions to the rule, or there is no such rule. That birth defines, your Varan.
We'll get into more details of that when we discuss the 18th chapter actually. Where exactly, whether it's an exception or there is no rule.
Correct.
But for all practical purposes, there is no rule.
There is no rule.
Birth is not a rule. But nonetheless, birth can't be neglected at the same time.
It's an important determinant.
It's an important determinant. See, this is an ongoing debate. Nature versus nurture. So I don't know whether you know this. There's this documentary called Three Identical Strangers. So in the United States, one person, he goes to a new college, which is around 120 miles away from his home. And he's not a very popular fellow. But then when he goes to this new college, it looks like everybody is identifying him. Everybody's coming up to him, hugging him. They're asking him, how was the summer? How did you spend your vacations? And he's surprised. How is everyone recognizing me? When he enters into the dorm, another person comes behind him. And then the other person calls him by another name, Eddie. This fellow then realizes that, I'm being mistaken to be someone else. And the person who he met at the dorm was Eddie's best friend. So he knew Eddie's birth date. So this fellow, he comes to know that Eddie and himself both are born on the same day.
I see.
They are twins, separated at birth. And then they get together, they meet each other, becomes big news, comes in all the newspaper. And then there's a third person who comes across these news articles and he sees that these two twins are there, and he sees that I'm identical to these two. So he comes and meets them, and then they realize they're all born on the same day. They're triplets. So they were put up for adoption in a particular orphanage. And that's where, they got separated. But then, why wasn't it revealed to them that, they had other siblings? And then later in the documentary, it is revealed that this was an experiment that was going on.
Oh, I see. My God.
So, how much does birth play a role in your development? how much does upbringing play a role in your development? So very carefully, one of these fellows was given for adoption in an upper class family. Second was given for adoption in a middle class family. And the third was given for adoption in a poor family. Just to see, the different backgrounds that you're brought up. And then they all recollect that growing up, in between, people used to come and interview them. And then it was some kind of a Jewish foundation that was running this experiment. So it makes sense. Why? Because the entire philosophy of Adolf Hitler was centered around birth.
Genes. Correct.
So to counteract that kind of an understanding, maybe Jews started this kind of an experiment to counteract it. Actually, it's upbringing that really matters. Nothing has to do with the gene. But then it was also found, naturally when they grew to that age, they had similarities, there are differences also. The upbringing had a bearing on them. At the same time, their birth also had left its mark. So the Vedic understanding is both nature and nurture has its
importance, not necessarily the primary determinants.
Yeah, both have their impact. Both nature and nurture matter. Even this experiment showed the same thing. Both nature and nurture matter. So the Vedas also say the same thing. Both nature and nurture matter. So you are born with certain nature. Everybody is born with certain natures.
And that's what we saw in the previous one. Ultimately, when the body, a living entity changes body, you start with certain characteristics.
Yes. See, the nature that we are born with is based on the karma of our past lives.
Correct.
Based on the karma of our previous birth, we are born with a certain nature. But because you are born with a certain nature, doesn't mean that's the end of the story. You can change it through nurture. See, that is the entire process of yoga to begin with. If nature is the all in all, then where is the question of transformation? Nurture has a role to play, 100%. But at the same time, what you are born with can't be neglected.
Correct.
See, generally human beings tend to go to either extremes. Either you say nature is everything, or then, especially in the modern day world, people tend to...
You need a formula. Either it is this or it is that. It's not necessarily a simple formula.
Yeah. So, in the modern day world, especially, people have a tendency to lean towards nurture more. You can be whatever you want to be. That's not the case. You have to kind of respect your own nature, what you are born with. So, that is why Krishna is playing it's a balancing act here. You're born. So, that is why birth is a very important thing here. So, that is why in the olden days, so that people are born with the right mindset, there is something called as a garbhadhan sanskar. To invite the right souls, the right consciousness, the mother and the father prepare so that the child is born in a godly atmosphere. You can do something about it. So it is highlighted also. Okay. So Krishna is telling here, the transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation. If you have these transcendental qualities, then that will help you in your liberation. Whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. The son of Pratha. In this world, there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and another demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from you the demoniac. Text number 7. Pravrittim ja nivrittim cha janana vidurasura na shaucham napi cha charo na satyam te vidyate. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidurasura. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. So the main distinguishing trait of demoniac character is they don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidurasura. Asatyam apratishtam te jagat ahur anishwaram. Paparaspara sambhutam kimmanyat kamahetukam. So the mentality of such a demoniac mentality is explained here. They say this world is unreal. with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Basically, a materialistic view of the world. It's a demoniac view of the world. There is no God. You see only matter. Following such conclusion, see, a particular philosophy, if you adhere to a particular philosophy that gives rise to a particular outlook of life, and that will lead you to a certain destination. What's your belief system is of prime importance. Atheism, the belief system of atheism gives rise to these characteristics, basically. That's what Krishna is trying to say here.
So let's take a quick this thing. Would Krishna have said Buddha is demonic or divine?
See, Lord Buddha is incarnation of Vishnu. He came with the express purpose of, see, yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata. Whenever there is adharma, to reduce adharma and to reestablish the principles of dharma, the Supreme Lord incarnates. Lord Krishna, he came to give the teachings of the Gita to reestablish dharma. Buddha also came to establish dharma only.
Correct. That we saw,
Dharma
like we
of
saw.
non-violence.
Yes.
Dharma
That we saw in the previous one.
Correct.
Yes.
To reestablish the dharma of non-violence, he invented. And in order to reestablish the principles of non-violence, he had to reject the Vedas.
Yes.
So the Vedas are a word of God. And to reject the Vedas is atheism, 100%. But Buddha is a unique case. And Buddhism, for all practical purposes, is considered to be atheism only. According to the followers of the Vedas, Buddhism is atheism.
Correct.
But it's an exceptional case. It's tatkalik, as it is said. See, there's something called tatkalik dharma which is there in the Vedas. For example, a brahmana like Dronacharya is meant to be peaceful, non-violent, etc. But under certain emergency situations, even he had to take up
Become a warrior. Yeah.
So Buddha is an exceptional case here. Even though Buddhism is counted as atheistic only because it rejects the Vedas. Buddha, Lord Vishnu himself had to come for an emergency purpose to bring people back on the track of the dharma of non-violence, which was direly lacking at that particular point of time. Anyway, following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost of themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusion, are always sworn to unclean work attracted by the impermanent. So naturally, when you have a very materialistic view of the world, you give free hand to kama, lust, and you are victimized by pride, false prestige. When you have no conception of a superior power, when you have no understanding of a God, it's but natural for you to become proud.
Correct.
When you're subordinate to God, there is no question of pride. They believe that to gratify the senses is the primary necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and greed, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification.
So all tamasic, really. Basically.
They're all tamasic. And then the mentality of a demonic person in the next verse. So much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything, I am the enjoyer, I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think all of them are correct except for that last sentence. That is, I shall perform sacrifices, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. So I will try and get out of it by giving charity. If you go back again, one of the things which Krishna says somewhere is, at least do some charity. At least do some donation.
See here, the attitude behind charity is very important.
Hmm.
The attitude behind charity is not really to help people.
Hmm. Satisfy my own ego.
Satisfy my own ego.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
See, when Krishna was speaking these verses, doing sacrifice, charity, etc., is way of gaining social acceptability.
Hmm.
In the modern day world, this may not be the case.
Hmm.
But back in the day, it used to be fashionable. So,
Yeah.
it's your mentality that Krishna is exposing here.
Correct.
Is your mentality. I want to portray myself as charitably disposed. I want to portray myself as very religious person for the sake of some prestige,
Hmm.
for some honor in society, so that I can show myself as superior. When
Yeah.
that is your mentality, when that is your attitude, then it is demoniac. It's the consciousness that counts, not exactly the external things.
Got it.
So a person of that consciousness can use certain Vedic things for. See, this is Jarasandha is considered to be an asura.
Hmm.
He was on the face of it a charitable. He was very charitable to the Brahmanas. So when Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhim approached him in the garb of Brahmanas,
Hmm.
so Jarasandha sees them. And Jarasandha, he sees Arjuna's physique, well-built body, and he sees marks of bowstrings on his hands. He understands that these people, no way they can be Brahmanas. They have to be definitely Kshatriyas. And they had also come there. Why? Because they knew that Jarasandha is charitable to the Brahmanas. So Jarasandha tells them, I know you are not Brahmanas, but you have taken the position of a Brahmana to beg for something. And because you have taken the form of a Brahmana, it will be prestigious for me to fulfill your desire.
I see.
And then they beg for a duel.
Hmm.
So the whole thing is, Jarasandha had to be eliminated. Either you attack the kingdom, and if you attack the kingdom, so many innocent people will be killed. So Krishna, he thinks that, why not asking for a duel? So that only he is killed, nobody else gets killed.
Hmm.
And so they went in the garb of a Brahmana, and then Jarasandha grants it. And then he says that, Krishna, you have run away from the battlefield from me. Actually, Krishna had defeated Jarasandha 17 times.
Yes,
18th time he had to go because Rukmini was waiting for him.
Hmm.
Jarasandha forgets that 17 times Krishna defeated me. Only remembers the 18th time. He says that you have escaped me, so I don't want to fight with you. And Arjuna looks very weak. I'll fight with Bhima. So I grant the charity of a duel fight with Bhima. And that's how Jarasandha gets killed. So the point here is Jarasandha was also very charitable. But what is the intention behind the charity?
Charity.
That is very important.
Ego satisfying charity.
Ego satisfying charity. So in this way, see, I'm not very happy that we are finishing the chapter halfway through here, because what is the solution to these divine and demoniac natures? And naturally, the question will arise, certain people might be born naturally with this tamasic kind of a mentality. What is the hope for them? Or are they hopeless?
Hmm.
Or somebody could be born with the divine nature. Just being born with the divine nature, is that sufficient? What's the way forward? Is it that somebody who is born divine can never become demoniac? Or is it that somebody who is born demoniac can never become divine? So this is a very important question that we will answer in our next session then.
Okay. Chaliye. This is back to, what we had said. You can move from sattvic to rajogun and to tamogun. You can move downwards also, and you have a path.
But there is one important thing that will come up in this. The defining thing here, which will elaborate.
John.
Alex.
Chapter 16 enlightens us about the two types of human natures, divine, daivi, and demoniac, asuri. Divine qualities lead to liberation and spiritual growth, while demoniac qualities cause bondage and suffering. The divine qualities include fearlessness, self-control, charity, nonviolence, truthfulness, forgiveness, purity, humility, and compassion. The divine nature leads to self-realization. The demoniac qualities are arrogance, pride, anger, harshness, ignorance, hypocrisy, cruelty, greed, and lack of faith in God. Those of demoniac nature deny the presence of God, thinking the world has no moral order. They live for sensual enjoyment and self-importance. The divine use the scriptures, śhāstra, as guidance for their actions, whereas the demoniac ignore or distort scriptural teachings and act according to their desires. These two tendencies exist within all beings, and a person's conduct determines whether they are divine or demoniac. We understand the psychological and moral battlefield within every individual, between divine tendencies that elevate us toward God and demoniac impulses that drag us into material bondage. The divine qualities arise from sattva, goodness, while the demoniac spring from rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. We are told that by following scriptural injunctions, we ensure liberation, while ignoring them leads to our downfall.